Hi students, welcome back to today's class. Now we are going to see session 4, that is communication cycle and importance of feedback. So what is meant by communication cycle and what is feedback here in communication cycle we will see. So feedback is an important part of the communication cycle. We have seen around 4 or 5 parts in the beginning, and that is communication cycle process now. Feedback is also one of the parts, so it is an important part of the communication cycle. For effective communication, it is important that the sender receives an acknowledgement from the receiver about getting the messages across. Okay, so whatever message a receiver received from the sender, he need to get the acknowledgement from the receiver. So that is only that acknowledgement only is known as feedback. Okay, so while sender sends information, the receiver provides feedback on the received message. So whatever message the sender is sending through the communication, and receiver is responding with the help of the feedback. Okay, and translated to the work environment, when you observe someone perform their work and then communicate with them to help improve their performance, you are giving a feedback. Okay, so if they want to in work environment, if they want to improve or enhance their performances, you will give some kind of information. That is only known as feedback. You are giving a feedback. So feedback can be positive or negative. A good feedback is always specific one, and it will be a helpful one, and it is a kind one. Okay, so what are the types of feedback we have here? So in this communication cycle, we have these 4 parts, that is sender communication, sender message, and receiver and feedback. Okay, and channel also is one of the part of the communication cycle. And what are the types of feedback we have here? Positive feedback, negative feedback, no feedback. Okay, so positive feedback means examples. I noticed you finished the work perfectly. Great job. So like that, if you say that is positive feedback, I really appreciate you taking that call. Okay, I really appreciate you taking that call. Can you please also share the details? So like that, if you are saying that is the called positive feedback. And negative feedback. Okay, so you keep forgetting to smile at the hotel guests when you talk to them. So this is the kind of negative feedback. You take really a long to reply to emails. Are you always so busy? So like that, if you are asking, that is negative feedback. And no feedback means what? It is also a feedback in itself, which indicates disagreement of ideas. No feedback at all. So that means you are disagree with the ideas. It is also kind of feedback only. Indicates that you don't have agreement. You are not agreeing the ideas or messages what is conveyed by the sender. Okay, that is no feedback. Next one, feedback. If it is shared properly, it can help reinforce existing strengths, and it can increase the recipient's abilities to rectify the errors. Okay, and it can have long-term effect in managing and achieving goals. So if you get the feedback, it will be like a long-term effect in managing and achieving the goals also. A good feedback is one, that is, it should be a specific one. It will avoid general comments. Okay, try to include examples to clarify your statements. Offering alternatives rather than just giving advice allows the receiver to decide what to do with your feedback. Okay, and timely. It's a good feedback will be a timely one. Being prompt is the key, since feedback loses its impact if it is delayed for too long. So if you are providing your feedback after some days or after few days, that is not a efficient one or effective one. So timely feedback also is important, and specific feedback also important. Okay, so good feedback should be a specific one. You should not give alternative rather than this or that, like that. Instead of saying some general points, you need to specific to your feedback. Okay, you should clarify what type of mistake the sender has did. Okay, you should clarify correctly. You should say the statement correctly. That should be a specific one, and it should be a timely one. So immediately you should say your feedback. You should not delay your feedback, your response, and it should be polite one also. While it is important to share the feedback, the recipient should not feel offended by the language of the feedback. Okay, so he should be polite in his language and when he is saying some feedback to the sender. And offering continuing support. Okay, so continuous feedback, continuous support you need to provide. Okay, the receiver need to provide all these things. No feedback, no, is provided by receiver only. So offering continuing support, in the sense feedback sharing should be a continuous process. After offering feedback, let recipients know you are available for support. Okay, so that means recipients always will be there for you to give a support so that sender can increase his goals, or he can improve his performances, all those things. Okay, so feedback sharing should be a continuous process. So good feedback, it should be a good one. When we will say it is a good feedback means it should be specific, and it should be a timely one, and it should be a polite feedback, and it should offer continuous support. Okay, what are the importance of feedback? Feedback is the final component and one of the most important factor in the process of communication. Okay, as we have seen the cycle, that is communication cycle, in that feedback is the last part. Okay, so it is one of the important, and it is the final component factor in the process of communication, since it is defined as the response given by the receiver to the sender. So let us look at certain reasons why feedback is important. It validates effective listening. That is, the person providing the feedback knows they have been understood or received, and that their feedback provides some value. So it is checking whether the receiver received messages properly, or whether he understood anything properly. We can check it. Okay, sender can check it. It motivates. Feedback can motivate people to build better work relationships and continue the good work that is being appreciated. So because of positive feedback, sender will be getting motivated. Okay, it is always there. Every time you speak to a person, we communicate feedback, so it is impossible not to provide one. Okay, and it boosts learning. Feedback is important to remain focused on goals. Okay, plan better and develop improved products and services. So we can develop better products, and we can plan for that, and we can develop improved products and services if it is going to be focused on goals. Okay, and it improves performance. So because of this planning and all, performance also will get improved. Feedback can help to form better decisions and to improve and increase the performance. Okay, so in the next session, we will see what are the barriers are there in the effective communication. Okay, so before that, we need to see what is meant by effective communication. We now know that there are different methods of communication, that is non-verbal, verbal, and visual communication. However, all these methods can only be effective if we follow the basic principles of professional communication skills. These can be abbreviated as, okay, 7 C's we need to follow. That is, effective communication should follow the following terms. Clear, it should be clear and concise, concrete, correct, coherent, complete, and courteous. Okay, so all these 7 C's, no, we need to follow in order to make the communication to be an effective one. Absence of any of these 7 C's can lead to miscommunication. So let us take a closer look at the certain barriers of effective communication. So first C is clear. Be clear about what you want to say. You need to be clear about what you are going to say, and use simple words. Say only what is needed. Use simple words alone. Concrete, in the sense, use exact words and exact fact alone. You should not say lies and all. You should know, say the exact words. That is concrete. Use correct spelling and grammars while you are saying some messages. And words should make sense and relate to the main topic. Coherent, in the sense, it should be relating to the topic. Whatever sentences or messages you are conveying to the receiver, that should be related to the topic what you're going to speak. Okay, it should make sense. Okay, you should not speak irrelevant topics, and it should include, complete means it include all the needed information. All the necessary information should be included related to the topic. That is only complete. And be respectful. Courteous, in the sense, be respectful and friendly and honest. You should speak true words only, and friendly way only you need to speak, and you should give respect. Okay, when you are speaking, you should give respect to the audience. So everything combined together, even in this 7 C's, if you miss anything also, it will lead to ineffective communication. So it will not be effective one. Okay, it will be a barrier or miscommunication. It will lead to miscommunication. And what is first C means? Clear. Second, concise. Third one is concrete. Fourth one is correct. So you just remember all these 7 C's in correct order. So clear means you should be clear about what you want to say. Concise means use exact words, simple words, not exact words. Exact words is concrete. Use simple words, that is concise. What is needed alone you need to say. Use exact words and facts. And correct means correct spelling and grammar we need to use. And coherent means related to the main topic we need to say some information. Complete means whatever information is needed, all the information you need to share. Courteous means you need to be respectful and you should be polite and friendly, honesty with the audience or the receiver to whom you are speaking. And next one is barriers to effective communication. These are the 7 C's for effective communication. So these C's are very much important. And next we are going to see what are the barriers and how it is affecting the communication. That is, we will see one by one. So these are the barriers. First one is linguistic barrier. Second one, cultural, interpersonal, physical, and organizational barriers. These are the 4 barriers for communication. So first one is physical barriers. Physical barrier is the environmental and natural condition that act as a barrier in communication, in sending a message from sender to receiver. Not being able to see the gestures, posture, and general body language can make communication less effective. For example, text messages are often less effective than face-to-face communication. So if you are speaking with person through the text message, it will be less effective only. So we need to show our gestures, postures, general body language need to be there in the communication. So this is known as physical barrier. That is environmental and natural condition that act as a barrier in communication in sending message from sender to receiver. Not able to see the gestures, posture, and general body language makes the communication less effective. Okay, for example, text messages are often less effective than face-to-face communication. And next one is linguistic barriers. The inability to communicate using a language is known as language barrier. Language or linguistic barrier. So if you are not knowing one particular language, so what will happen? You will not able to convey your messages properly. So the inability to communicate using a language is known as language barrier to communication. Language barriers are the most common communication barriers which cause misunderstandings and misinterpretations between the people. If you are not using a proper words, exact words for the communication process, no, automatically it will be leading to misunderstanding and misinterpretations also between the people. For example, slang, professional jargon, and regional colloquialisms can make communication difficult. Okay, so regional wise or professional wise, any words if you are not using properly, no, slang also if it is not correct, so automatically it will lead to misunderstanding and misinterpretations between the people. This is known as linguistic barriers. Language, if you're not knowing language properly, then that comes under linguistic barriers. Physical barriers means environmental and natural conditions that act as a barrier. So if you're not able to see one person face to face, so automatically you'll be missing all these things. Okay, so that is only physical barrier. And next one is interpersonal barriers. Barriers to interpersonal communications occurs when the sender message is received differently from how it was intended. Okay, so sender will be saying something in correct way and receiver will be understanding in different way. Okay, so uh, how it was intended. So what purpose that message was conveyed. If it is received to the recipient side in a wrong manner, then automatically it will be like interpersonal barriers only. Okay, it is also very difficult to communicate with someone who is not willing to talk or express their feelings and views. Okay, so if you are trying to talk with one person and the person is not ready to speak with you, then automatically which barriers occur? Interpersonal barriers occurs. Okay, stage fear, lack of will to communicate, lack of will to communicate, and personal differences can create interpersonal barriers to communication. Okay, so if you have these things, no, stage fear, lack of will to communicate, and personal differences, all those things, if it is there in your mind, automatically you'll not be able to have proper communication. And next one is organizational barriers are designed, organizations are designed on the basis of formal hierarchical structures that follow performance standards, rules, regulations, procedures, policies, behavioral norms, everything will be there in any organization. Okay. So all these affect the free flow of communication in organizations and therefore need to be suitably managed. So all these rules, regulations, procedures, some standards, performance standards also they will measure, and policies they will be following, behavioral norms also they will check. So all these things we need to consider when we are saying some information. Okay, when the sender is saying some information inside the organizations, we need to obey all these things. Okay, it should not affect the communication. So like that, he need to able to speak. So this is also one kind of barriers only. These rules, regulations, procedures, policies, behavioral norms. He will not able to say any information in a free way. Okay, sender will not able to say any information in a free way. So all these will affect the free flow of communication in organizations, and therefore need to be suitably, it should be managed. So superior subordinate relations in a formal organizational structure can be a barrier to free flow of communication. So this kind of, that is the boss and subordinate, superior and subordinate relationship in a formal organizational structure, it can be a barrier to a free flow of communication. So he cannot, that subordinate cannot able to talk anything freely when he want to talk, convey some information. Also sometimes due to stringent rules, okay, uh, due to the stringent rules, and the employees find it difficult to communicate with their peers too. Okay, so with other employee also they cannot able to speak properly. That is also organizational barriers only. And cultural barriers, it is a barrier when people of different cultures, no, are able to unable to understand each other's customs, resulting in inconvenience and difficulties. So one person's culture, if you are not able to understand properly, then automatically it will be leading to miscommunication, or and it will not be effective communication one. Okay, so people sometimes make stereotypical assumptions about others based on their cultural background. Okay, so their dressing sense and their way of um, appearance, and the way of dressing and the hairstyle, all those things, no, it will be leading, it will be related to their culture. So this also will lead to difference in opinions and can be a major barrier to effective communication. Although there are certain barriers to effective communications, you can always overcome these barriers by following some best practices of effective communications that are listed here. So what are the best practices we need to follow in order to overcome these barriers? Use simple language. Do not form assumptions on culture. So on anyone's culture, you don't make any assumptions on your own, or religion based or geography based, no, location based assumptions and all. You should not form when you are speaking or when you want to convey some information. And then try to communicate in person as much as possible. Okay, in person you need to communicate. You should not write something, or you should not post some messages or like that. Don't communicate. So try to communicate in persons as much as possible. Use visuals. Okay, and take help of translator to overcome the differences in language. Any kind of linguistic barriers are there means you just keep one translator in order to convey your message clearly to the other person. Be respectful of other opinions. Others, if they say any feedback, you need to be respectful. You should give respect to their words. Okay, so if you follow all these five, six things, no, 6 ways, if you are following it, then you will be able to overcome your barriers for effective communication. Okay, so cultural barriers, organizational barriers, interpersonal barriers, linguistic, physical. All these barriers we have discussed. Okay, so physical and organizational, they have made it together here, and you just make it as a separate one. If you want to write barriers about communication, you need to write all these 5 barriers names, and some explanation related to this you need to give. Okay, and next one is next session, session 6, that is writing skills and parts of speech. This we will see in the next video. We need to have we need to discuss session 6 and 7 alone in this unit. Okay, if we discuss that 2 sessions, then this lesson will get over.